On June 20th, 1969, it was voted that we recess during the months of July and August, with both men's organizations recessing too. A noticeable reduction was evident in the utility bills. On September 1969, both the Masons and Oddfellows financed a repair job on the roof, a never-ending job that would be with us until later years when it would finally be corrected. Since we still didn't have a back stairway, the master on December 19th, 1969, appointed brothers Buford A. Padley and Leonard C. Miller to see if they could get this project started. One of the committee appointed to help write this supplement to our history also served on the original committee, which wrote the complete history. He gave as his opinion that although we sold certificates of stock back in 1870 to build the third story on the courthouse to be used for lodge purposes, and in 1904 sold shares to finance the building of the third floor on the Fraternal Inn building, never had our lodge asked for donations or had any special assessments. At least the minute books didn't show it. For the first time in our 103rd year history, the minutes of January 2nd, 1970, show that the Secretary was authorized, and here we quote, to include with the notice of dues a note asking for financial help on expense of re-roofing the hall, end of quote. This was understandable, because the dues were only $10, and the expenses the past 2 years had been more than our treasury could stand. The response was good, and with the help of the Oddfellows, the roof would last for some time. Always before, when the brother died, a committee was appointed to write appropriate resolutions, a copy being sent to the family. At this time, and at the same meeting, January 2nd, 1970, one of the brethren presented the lodge with 12 beautifully printed resolutions of respect with envelopes to mail to them. It is now common practice for the Secretary to keep them on hand. Since the original history had been put on tape and the brethren felt that a duplicate copy should be provided and made available to any of the brethren and the general public. On March 6, 1970, it was voted to do this, and Brother Quentin Compton, who worked at the Democrat office, would be in charge of it. At the April 3, 1970 meeting, the Stairway Committee reported that we could purchase a used metal stairway at a power plant in Kansas City, which was being raised. Also, enough metal to build a landing at the rear of the door. Total cost would be $90. The Oddfellows had agreed to pay half the costs. The lodge authorized the committee to make the purchase. Brothers Leonard C. Miller and H. Bart Cox went to Kansas City and made the purchase. Once again, our treasurer began showing signs of fatigue. On May 1st, 1970, a motion was made, seconded, and carried that we rent the Legion Hall and have a mountain oyster fry as a fundraising project. Financially, this proved to be a success and should be repeated more often. Again, we recessed during July and August. Before we did, the stair committee reported that the Oddfellows had helped and that now the rear stairway and landing was now in place. However, because of the unusual heat this time of year, Brother Buford A. Padley had been hospitalized for a week with heat-related problems. On the plus side, the committee had sold forced hours, 400 pounds of metal left over for $36. Now the whole project for material had cost only $54. When the lodge was instituted back in 1867, the meeting night was set on the first Saturday night after full moon, so the brethren could find their way home. Not long after electricity came to Butler in 1881, it was decided to meet the first and third Saturday night. This remained until June 19, 1943. That night it was voted to change to the first and third Friday nights. Years later, Friday night seemed to be in conflict with many school activities. On September 18, 1970, after a great deal of discussion, a committee consisted of brothers Leonard C. Miller, Alfred L. Jessup, and H. Bart Cox was appointed to draw up appropriate resolutions which would change our meeting nights from the first and third Fridays to the first and third Tuesdays. The committee presented a resolution in writing at the October 2, 1970 meeting. At this same time, it was mentioned that we had a nice stairway and landing at the rear of the building, but it was badly in need of a paint job. The Odd Fellows had agreed to pay half the cost of paint and help put it on. Brother Alfred L. Jessup agreed to furnish all the paint, and Brother Boyd Guyton offered to put it on. The lodge accepted their generous offer, and with the help of Fred M. Neagley of the Odd Fellows, the job was done. On November 6, 1970, the proposal of changing our meeting nights was voted on and passed. Now we would be coming to the hall on the first and third Tuesday nights. The secretary, Brother Richard A. Ellis, usually went to Arizona during the winter months. Brother Alfred L. Jessup was appointed acting secretary during Brother Ellis's absence. On January 19, 1971, it was voted to have the Washington Day banquet on February 20, 1971, and again to ask all lodges to contribute $7.50. The lodge was saddened by the death of our junior warden, Brother Norris Smith. During our long history, only one other line officer had died while in office. He was Brother Perry Borkin, the master, in 1931. The charter was draped in memory of Brother Smith, and Buford A. Padley was elected junior warden and installed on April 20th, 1971. The February 20th, 1971 Washington Day banquet was held with a good crowd in attendance. Attendance at our stated meeting had not been what was anticipated after having moved from the upstairs hall to the ground floor. On March 2nd, 1971, the master, Brother Jack C. Zellmer, asked all present to call a brother before coming to lodge that year, a practice that could be used today. On April 6, 1971, the petition of Mr. Elmer Hahn, Jr. was accepted and an investigation committee appointed. This would be a good addition to our lodge, because later years he would become the secretary and prove to be one of our many good workers. With the paint job completed on the stairway and landing, the two lodges turned their attention toward getting a new sidewalk at the rear of the building. Mr. Dale Crockett of the Crockett Concrete Company here in Butler offered to furnish and deliver, free of charge, enough concrete to pour the walk, the lodges to do the grade work and make the forms. This was too good a deal to let slip by. Brothers John Compton and Dwight Deal, a fellow craft, temporarily became operative masons and took charge of the job. At the May 4th, 1971 meeting, the lodge extended their thanks to these brothers for doing such a fine job. Again, we recessed during the months of July and August. After returning from the recess, the secretary read a letter on September 7th, 1971, from Crescent Hill Lodge number 368 at Adrian, extending an invitation to attend their public centennial celebration on October 13th, 1971. This would be exactly 100 years to the day since they were chartered. Several other brethren from our lodge and many non-members from the Adrian area attended. On the night of October 19th, 1971, the charter was draped for the two of our departed senior members, Brothers John L. Cope and Judge E.C. Harper. But the vacancy they created was short-lived. On this same night, and for the first time in our history, twin brothers, Jerry L. Boyd and Terry D. Boyd, petitioned the lodge to become members by initiation. Then there was a young, energetic TV technician by the name of James Troy Fonstock, who, according to the minutes, felt he too should find out what transpired within the walls of our temple. After reading the three petitions, and committees had been appointed, the secretary announced there was one more to be brought before the lodge, that of Mr. Eugene Dale Strange. The acting master, Brother Wilbur L. Taylor, commented, "We lay 2 down and now stand a chance of raising 4. That's exactly what happened, and your committee feels that along with all the others who have petitioned the lodge, these were good additions." This had been a long night, but there was more to come. Everyone joined the discussion about how to raise money. The roof showed signs of needing some repairs. We had recently paid the Grand Lodge per capita tax, which was nearly $600. Finally, it was decided to have a barbecue and turkey supper at the city auditorium. We would raffle off a shotgun along with other prizes. The committee to acquire the shotgun was Brothers Charles H. Boyd, Ralph Silvers, and H. Bart Cox, Brother Richard A. Ellis, Buford A. Padley, and James Wolfe were to get tickets printed and make all other arrangements. No time was set for the event. Since January 1st, 1960, Brother Leonard C. Miller had voluntarily conducted a hospital visitation plan, that of visiting sick members of all fraternal organizations admitted to the Bates County Memorial Hospital. The record showed that he had actually made 2,623 trips to the hospital, visiting 2,361 persons who were affiliated with some fraternal order. Of these, 537 were Masons, and 747 were members of the Order of the Eastern Star. He had written many cards and letters to families and lodges, and made numerous telephone calls, all at his own expense. The workload at the city power plant became such that he could no longer continue this service. On January 4th, 1972, he submitted his resignation as chairman of the Visitation Committee. The Washington Day banquet of February 18, 1972, was more than a usual dinner coupled with the renewing of old acquaintances. The ladies of the Eastern Star had prepared a bountiful meal, and the number in attendance was much larger than at some in the past. What set this meeting apart from almost any night the lodge had experienced was when Brother Charles H. Boyd, a past master and father of the candidates, took the master station and raised his twin sons, Jerry L. Boyd and Terry D. Boyd, to the sublime degree of a Master Mason. This was not only a first for our lodge, but perhaps would have been for hundreds of other lodges all over the United States. It was apparent that changing our meeting nights to the first and third Tuesdays did not aid our attendance very much, if any. On March 7, 1972, another committee was appointed to make revisions in the bylaws. This time we would go back to the first and third Friday night of each month. Before lodge had closed, the committee had presented in writing, and the secretary read, the proposal to change back to the first and third Friday nights. At the next meeting, March 21, 1972, the proposal was voted on and passed. Again, we were meeting on Friday night, where we are today, 1980. On April 7, 1972, the conversation turned to another fundraising project. It was decided to have another barbecue at the City Hall and give as first prize an electric trolling boat motor. To add more incentive to attend, the Shrine Band was invited to be our guest. During the first part of 1972, we had been experiencing some difficulty in getting a custodian for both halls. Our lodge voted to pay the Rainbow Girls $5 per month to keep our hall clean. June 2, 1972 was another lucky day for Butler Lodge number 254. At this meeting, the secretary read the application of Brother Richard L. Suela to become a member of our lodge by affiliation. Today he is our efficient secretary. The subject of recession during July and August was put to a vote and defeated. July 22, 1972 was Past Masters Night. All the chairs were filled by past masters from our lodge. Unusually good refreshments were served after the meeting. During 1972, the lodge had degree work almost every night. August 18, 1972 was no exception. That night, our senior warden, Brother Robert V. Fonstock, was initiated into the mysteries of Freemasonry. On September 1, 1972, the lodge officially acknowledged the passing of Brother Charles W. Ott. This was a brother who, along with his wife Myrtle, had made a sizable contribution to the lodge in order that we might make the necessary alterations to our hall. The brethren who were absent the night of October 20th, 1972, missed an event that is rather unusual these days. Knowing the lodge was badly in need of regular officers' aprons, Brother Robert E. Miller, Charles H. Boyd, and Buford A. Padley personally bought the new aprons. Brother Robert E. Miller made the presentation to the lodge that night. Needless to say, everyone was grateful for their kind deed. On November 3rd, 1972, 5 brothers signed a petition proposing to raise our dues from $10 to $15 annually. After reading the petition, the secretary was instructed to notify all members living in this area that the petition would be voted on December 15th, 1972. It was voted on that night and passed. On January 5th, 1973, the charter was draped in honor of former President and past Grand Master, Brother Harry S. Truman. The night of February 17th, 1973, was set for the George Washington banquet. Again, we would ask that each lodge to contribute $7.50. On January 19th, 1973, Worshipful Master Brother Ralph Silvers appointed Brothers Terry L. Boyd and Terry D. Boyd as a standing committee to have all lodge activities which could be printed in the local paper. A committee like this had not been appointed since the year 1901. On February 23, 1973, it was voted to appoint a committee and have them work with the Odd Fellows Committee relative to buying a new electric stove. Same was bought, and our part of the cost was $66.40, which was approved on February 16, 1973. Apparently, the Rainbow Girls had not forgotten the support the Blue Lodge had given them back in 1961 when they were instituted. On the night of February 16, 1973, the secretary read a thank you letter from the girls, which was accompanied with a $100 check. This money was used to start a saving account at the Butler building alone, which would prove to be very advantageous in later years. To exemplify how history was a way of repeating itself, we would like to quote from the minutes of January 20th, 1872. A motion was made and carried that masters, past, present, and future, furnish without charge to the lodge photographs of themselves so that they may be appropriately displayed. End of quote. No place in the minute books has your committee been able to find where this resolution had been rescinded. Brother Ralph Silvers, the master, must have shared like opinion, because on this same night, February 16, 1973, he appointed Brothers Richard L. Swela, James T. Fonstock, and Buford A. Padley as a committee of 3 to make frames suitable for past masters' pictures. A renewed interest in past masters' photographs, past and present, will be covered later on. On March 16, 1973, the secretary's salary was raised to $2.50 per meeting night. Also, it was voted to paint the front of the building if it was agreeable with the Odd Fellows, which it was. At the next meeting, April 6, 1973, with daylight savings time going into effect, it was voted to change our meeting time from 7:30 p.m. to 8 p.m. At the June 1, 1973 meeting, the lodge voted to pay R.C. Hoover $350 to renew the ceiling with a golden finish and replace all ceiling lights. On November 16, 1973, the secretary read a letter from the Eastern Star chapter requesting permission to put 5 receptacles in the floor, which they would pay for. No action was taken. On January 18, 1974, Worshipful Master Brother Charles H. Boyd appointed a committee of 3 consisting of Brothers Leonard C. Miller, James T. Fonstock, and Terry D. Boyd, not only to revise the bylaws, but to write a 5-year supplement to our lodge history. The committee presented their recommendation for changes in the bylaws at a stated meeting on April 5, 1974, which was adopted. The 2 major changes were as follows. Number 1, Article 9, Sections 1 and 2. First, Section 1. This lodge shall have 3 trustees, namely the Worshipful Master, Senior Warden, and Junior Warden. Section 2. The Worshipful Master shall automatically assume the position as Chairman of the Board. Number 2. Article 12, Section 1. It shall be the duty of the Worshipful Master, with the consent of the lodge and the assistance of the brethren, to set aside one stated or special meeting night in the month of November to be designated as Past Master's Night. Appropriate entertainment should be provided. Somehow the supplement to the history of the lodge got lost in the shuffle. At this same meeting under the good of the order, Brother Robert E. Miller reported that our late brother Elmo Ginter had donated his eyes to Missouri Lions Club Eye Bank. He read a letter stating that another man was the beneficiary of Brother Elmo's eyes, and because of this commendable act, the man could see again. A motion was made, seconded, and carried that we enter this letter in our minutes, and that a copy be sent to Mrs. Ginter. It was also voted to pay our note at the First National Bank in full. On February 1st, 1974, it was voted to have the George Washington Day banquet on February 16th, but for the first time in 6 years, there would be no charge. After lodge was closed, Brother Wilbur L. Taylor, chairman of the refreshment committee, surprised everyone by serving a good supply of venison sandwiches. It was a sad occasion for the lodge to confer the memorial service for Brother Wesley Denton on April 15, 1974. It will be remembered from our recent history that Brother Denton held the distinction of being the first man to receive the degrees, including the Master Mason degree, in the old hall in the Fraternal Building in 1906. He was a 67-year member. For his 41st birthday present, Brother Robert E. Miller's wife had the plates made for the printing and 28 copies of our history printed. At the May 3rd, 1974 meeting, Brother Miller presented the lodge with a complimentary copy. A motion was made, seconded, and carried that the lodge buy one for our library at a cost of $4. Brother Miller stated that individual copies would be $7, but that $3 would go back into our lodge treasury. It was also voted to buy 3 more copies, one to be sent to the Grand Lodge, one to the Butler Public Library, and the other to the Bates County Museum. Sales must have been good, because on June 7, 1974, Brother Miller presented the secretary with a check in the amount of $24. On June 2, 1974, the Masons and Oddfellows were informed that it had become necessary to install a new copper water line from the main to our building. Brother Charles H. Boyd offered the services of his digging equipment free of charge, so the line was replaced. Then the dining room ceiling was refinished and the front of the building was painted. Several other brothers contributed a considerable amount of time, work, and some money before these jobs were completed. When the bills came in, we had spent $405.17, half of which was paid by the Oddfellows. Again, the roof began to give trouble. On October 4th, 1974, the lodge agreed to have the Land Roofing Company of Independence, Missouri, make the necessary repairs. Our part of the cost was $232. The lodge held their fundraising dinner on October 19, 1974. After all expenses, we had a profit of $288.75. On December 20th, 1974, the Eastern Star chapter gave the lodge $100 as a Christmas present. District Deputy Grand Master Brother Walter Stanfield from Amsterdam Lodge No. 141 made his official visit on February 7, 1975, and reported that the Grand Lodge was considering buying a new Masonic home near Weston, Missouri. In 1975, we held the Washington Day banquet on February 21st. At the March 7, 1975 meeting, Brother Richard L. Suela mentioned the altar should be recovered, but no immediate action was taken. On April 18, 1975, the lodge was notified that the air conditioner needed a new compressor. The Eastern Star gave us $200 to help pay our part, and the Oddfellows voted to pay their part. So a new one was installed with a 5-year warranty. On May 16, 1975, After serving 2 years as our secretary, Brother Buford A. Padley submitted his resignation. On June 6, 1975, Brother John Compton called the lodge's attention to the condition of the front sidewalk. No action was taken. It has often been said, the first impression is usually a lasting one. If that be true, and your committee would be the last to question it, October 1st, 1975 was not one of our better performances. Even with a new compressor, the air conditioner refused to abide by its obligation. The temperature had hovered near the century mark for the past 3 weeks, and everyone had an urge to go home where it was cool. But duty came first, so we all stayed at our stations. A certain candidate had been successful in convincing the investigating committee that he was worthy of the trust we were about to put in him, so the initiation ceremony was performed. The candidate's name, John Edward Hirschman, Jr. It might be said at this writing that he is the heir apparent to the master station, because today he is our senior warden. Sometime during the first week of September 1975, Brother Charles H. Boyd, Terry D. Boyd, Jerry L. Boyd, and John F. Compton removed the old sidewalk in front of the building and poured a new one. Gephardt Concrete Company got $173.04 for material, one half paid by the Oddfellows, but the brethren got only the experience. At the September 19, 1975 meeting, the lodge expressed their heartfelt appreciation to the brothers for a job well done. Then the conversation turned to having another fundraising dinner. It was decided to have it on October 25th, 1975. A shotgun would be raffled off at $1 per ticket, but no mention was made what the banquet tickets would be sold for. The necessary committees were appointed, and everything was set. The Grand Lodge session was held in St. Louis on September 29th and 30th, 1975. Brother Elmer Hahn, Jr., the senior warden, represented our lodge. His report contained many interesting facts, but perhaps the most important legislation passed was a bill that lowered the minimum age for petitioning the lodge for initiation to 18 years old. It seems the year 1975 was one of good tidings for Butler Lodge number 254. First, John Edward Hirschman Sr., a member of McDonald Lodge number 324 of Independence, Missouri, had visited us several times, expressing his desire to become one of us, and his application was found on the secretary's desk on October 17, 1975, to become a member by affiliation. Second, on November 7, 1975, the Secretary's report on a fundraising dinner on October 25, 1971 was as follows. Raffle tickets sold on gun, $433. Meal tickets and sale of supplies, $717.40. Gross receipts, $1,150.40. Expenses, the gun was $133.64. Food and supplies and rent, $363.40. Total expenses, $497.04. Net profit, $653.36. This was by far the best effort we had ever put forth to raise money. Much credit goes to several of the brethren for their entire efforts. Their attendance at lodge may leave something to be desired, but their devotion to the lodge and order should never be questioned. Maybe it's a sign of the times. The Secretary, Brother Jack C. Zilmer, read a communique from the Grand Secretary, which caused more than the usual sigh of relief. The letter stated plainly, when a brother died out of state and is buried there, all communications pertaining to the death and burial of the brother are handled between the two respective Grand Lodges. Therefore, the Grand Lodge of Missouri was granting permission to all subordinate lodges in the state to advise them on how much the lodge would be willing to spend for flowers. The Grand Lodge of Missouri would pay the bill, and the home lodge would be billed. The brethren needed a little time to think this over, so the communique was tabled for the time being. On December 5th, 1975, Brother Hirschman's petition was voted on and passed. Today he is serving in the Master's chair. At this meeting, in anticipation of the visit of an AFS student to our lodge, it was voted to buy a present which would be presented by the newly elected Worshipful Master, Brother Elmer Hahn, Jr.
With approximately 20 seconds left, we will pause here to turn the tape over.
The December 19th, 1975 meeting might be called a stated open meeting. The lodges opened in the usual manner. Worshipful Master Elmer Hahn, Jr. declared a recess, in which time AFS student Miss Christa Fritz from Austria and the public was invited into our hall. Miss Fritz gave a splendid talk about her country, displayed several pictures of her hometown and country, then played the accordion as part of the entertainment. There was a question and answer session, after which Worshipful Master, Brother Elmer Hahn, presented her with a golden necklace as a token of our friendship. Miss Fritz was escorted around the lodge room, where everyone shook hands with her, but she and the guests retired to the Oddfellows Hall, and the recess was declared over. This part of the program was recorded on tape. And since we have a copy of that tape, let's listen.
This recording was made December 19, 1975. This was on a regular stated communication of our lodge. However, a recess was declared and Miss Christa Fritz, an AFS student from Austria, was escorted into our hall and welcomed. Here is how it went. Sit down here and listen to me. They'll be here. Oh, anytime you want. Whenever you want to hand them to me and I'll take them.
Okay.
Kind of watch for CA Bob, that might be.
Okay, I want to tell you a little bit about Austria, my home country. It's a little country in Europe, and it is bounded by Germany, Czechoslovakia, Hungary, Yugoslavia, and Italy. It is divided in 9 parts. We call it provinces: Vorarlberg, Tyrol, Salzburg, Upper Austria, Lower Austria, Styria, Carinthia, and Burgenland. And each province has its own capital. Our capital is Vienna. It has a population from 7,500,000 people. And Austria has a population from, Vienna has only a population from 1,600,000 and Austria a population from 8 million. Austria has a size of 32,669 square miles. It's a little bit larger as Maine. The 99% of Austrian inhabitants speak German, and 89% are Roman Catholic, 6% Protestant. Now I want to tell you a little bit about history. In Caesar's time, in this area were the Celts. In 976, Austria came under the rule of the Babenberg family. The House of Habsburg ruled Austria from the 13th century to the end of the First World War. In the 16th century, Bavaria, Bohemia, and Hungary were added to the empire. After the dismemberment of the Austro-Hungarian monarchy in November 1918, Austria became a federal republic. In 1938, German troops occupied Austria, but in April 1945, under the government of Dr. Karl Renner, re-established the Republic of Austria. The State Treaty was signed at least in Vienna on May the 15th, 1955. Austria has been a member of the United Nations since December the 15th, 1955. Austria is a federal republic and will have a president. He is elected by the popular vote for 6 years. We have a parliament. It's headed by a federal councillor. And Austria has two main parties, the ÖVP, that's the Public Party, and the SPÖ, that's the Socialistic Party. At the time now, the Socialistic Party has more members. Then we have a socialistic, capitalistic economic system. Our chief industries are iron, steel, oil, textiles, paper, pulp, and glass. Our main exports are lumber, iron, steel, manufacturers, paper, pulp, magnesit, and glass. And our main imports are food, coal, machinery, textile, raw materials, chemicals, and metals. And Austria is an agricultural country, and our main crops are barley, wheat, sugar beets, potatoes, corn, and grapes. Then our our cattle, we call it raw check, and they are for meat and milk, and they have white faces, and the pigs are called Deutsches Edelschwein. And our customs through the year, New Year, we celebrate it like here, and then on January the 7th we have Heilig der Könige, then we celebrate that the three holy kings came to Bethlehem and brought gifts. And then in February we have Carnival. One Sunday in the Carnival we have like here the kids are dressed up, and in the Carnival we have dances each Saturday and Sunday. They are from 8 to 6 from 8 in the evening to 6 in the morning. Then on May the 1st we have our Labor Day, and I think everybody knows about Oktoberfest. And in November the 6th we have St. Nicholas. That's not your Santa Claus, but St. Nicholas was a holy bishop, and he brings the good children gifts. And our Christmas, we celebrate it on Christmas Eve. That we have the Christmas tree, and that's only in the family. We exchange gifts, and we sing Christmas carols, and we pray. And the main sport in Austria is, we call it football, but it's your soccer, and skating, track, swimming, motorizing, ice skating, and figure skating. And in Innsbruck, the capital of Tyrol, is this year the Olympic Games. Then I live in Tiefenthal. It's a little village north of the Danube. I have here a map of my village, what it looked like. We have 14 houses, one street, and a little river. It's very little, and we have one church. And our house is right here in the middle of the village. and the fields, not like here that the ground around the house goes to the farm. The area around the village is divided in a lot of parts, and then our fields, like here is one field, here, here, and here, so that the gray fields are our fields. Then my family, I have one brother, one sister, and my parents. My sister, her name is Martha, and she's 19, and she's engaged to a professional football player. And my brother married 2 weeks ago. Then I have a map from our house, each house looks like this. We have a farm that we have, here is the street. It's like a square that we have here, the rooms where we live, the kitchen and the living room, and in this part where we have the cattle, in this part where we have the pigs, and a square here is the hay barn, and in the back we have the wine cellar, and in the middle is the courtyard. And you can enter through this house only through one front door. It's a big door, so it's close together. And as you saw on the map from the village, the houses are all close together, but here is the neighbor's farm that he can use this wall for his cattle barn or whatever he has there. I have here some pictures from our farm. Okay. And then you can, that's my school where I'm in school. It's south of the Danube. It's right here. It's 20 miles from my home village. And I'm in school through the week, and I'm going home each weekend. And a little bit about our school system. We have 4 years grade school, and then we have 4 years secondary modern school, and 1 year of polytechnicum. That's all what the state says, but you have to go. That's 9 years. And then if you want to, you can go to a college. Where I am now, I'm in agricultural training college in the second year, and that's 5 years. And our school, we start at 7 in the morning, and sometimes we end at 6 in the evening, so that we have 10 or 11 hours a day. And we have, you cannot choose your subject, what you want to, you have to take all subjects. So I had last year 24 subjects. And the sports in our schools like skiing, ice skating, swimming, and I have here some pictures from our skiing course in the Alps. And then here's one picture from the boyfriend of my sister in his football group. And then here I have a little book about the country of Austria, what it looks like. Okay. Are there any questions?
Ready to see it. Okay. I have a question. Do you use the river for transportation, any at all?
For transportation?
Yeah, to haul stuff on the river in boats.
Mm-hmm.
He wants to pause just a minute and take the picture now.
I got a little present I want to give you. Let's step over this way and then we'll be standing behind the box.
That's fine. That's fine.
stand here and then.
All right.
Okay. Now stand on these chairs.
Sure. If you don't fall,
Don't fall that way, you got your insurance.
we don't have stair ladder insurance.
Okay, we'll shoot about 3 pictures, so we'll kind of go through the motions.
All right.
All right.
You can get a hold of it too. I think I moved. I heard hers, and I thought that was it.
Okay, let's do another one.
Yeah.
Chuck's got another one. All right. Now, can you kind of look, yeah, look at me there. Good. And one more.
That'll be $100 extra.
Why? I've only got 15 cents, Harold.
So,
Okay.
Yeah. That is yours.
Thank you.
You have to excuse that, I hit it. I understand that you have your accordion with you.
Yeah.
I'll get it. Yeah, you want to talk some more?
No, only if there are any questions.
Anybody want to ask her any questions? Don't be bashful. I didn't hear you.
Pardon me.
Will you speak some in your language?
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. I wish you a Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year now in German. Fröhliche Weihnachten und ein glückliches neues Jahr.
If anyone has any questions, now it's time to ask them. I'd like to ask you a question.
Where'd you put it?
What?
It's probably here.
Here, it's right here, wait a minute.
That's all right. I'll be all right come morning.
How do you like going to school here in Butler, and how does it compare with your home school other than the subjects you have to take? I mean, how's the kids compared to like home?
Well, I really like to go here to school. First part, because I happen to get up so early, and I don't have so long a day school. I take here PE, home ec, English, art, and American history and world history. And it's a lot easier than we do.
May I ask a question?
Sure.
How does the food taste to you here?
Well, it's the same.
Is it?
Do you have hot dogs in Austria?
Yeah, but we don't call it hot dogs. We call it Frankfurter.
Frankfurt.
Yeah.
Well, there's places in this country they call it that too.
Yeah, well, hot dogs are a little long. Frankfurters are big and short. That's what we call them.
Yeah.
Whole thing, huh?
do you attend school year-round?
They're over there.
Is your school term 12 months or 9 months?
No, 10 months.
10
10
months.
10 months.
You have 2 months off.
Yeah.
Did you visit any place between New York and here in Butler that was of interest?
No.
You came back straight home?
Yeah, we came right straight. We drive tonight, so.
Did you fly over?
Yeah, we fly to New York, and then we went by bus to Kansas City
Oh, I
from New York.
How many of you came over?
You said it?
How many of you came over?
There are 77 from Austria.
77.
Have there been anyone from the United States to your country?
Yeah.
Well,
maybe you should play us a tune or two, and if somebody might think of some questions to ask you. Did you bring that with you?
No.
What do you need? Need some help? Where's your... Oh, here it is. Look at how wonderful your music is.
I can say it. I play a folk song from Austria, and it's called Tief drinnen bin der Wald.
You bring that with you, Veronica?
No.
The instrument?
How do you like the United States?
I like it.
Do you?
Hey, you find the boys different here in the Oregon State?
No.
All the same. Wouldn't you, by chance, get to call by telephone home to your parents while you're here? Sometime, not necessarily Christmas, but sometime while you're here, will you get to talk to them on the phone?
Well, I have to talk to my parents at my birthday, and now in the Christmas holidays, I get a talk from the AFS chapter in school to my parents.
That's nice.
How do you like this kind of weather? I understand it's a little bit snowy in your part of the country.
Yeah, we have snow, but it's not that cold.
You felt right at home then a couple of weeks ago when we had the snow here, didn't you?
Do you ever start to have music that you played, or do you like rock and roll, or what is your
Well, I like both.
This I wanted to know if you had any storms that are like cyclones,
No.
anything like that. You don't have that.
We don't have that.
If you really experience something, you ever one of them.
We hope one don't come through.
No, let's don't bring one through
Yeah.
and show them to her. Anyone else have any questions they'd like to ask?
Do you have televisions over there?
Yeah.
You're
reception better there than it is here? That's an unfair question, but I'll ask it anyhow. I think it's about the same.
You were showing a picture of the way that your house was laid out with the buildings around the main part. How big an area does the whole
House and barn and everything.
How many meters?
How many meters? You wouldn't know.
In your courtyard, would it be, say, about the size of this room? Or bigger?
No, it's 4 times that big.
Well, that gives us a general idea.
Yeah.
Well, Chris, I think we figured out it's probably about 150 by, say, 100 or something like that, you know, square.
What square?
Well, that's the same on. Confusing the issue, isn't it?
Well, if they don't have any questions, and she doesn't have any more to talk about.
Some of these subjects at school seem unusual than what we have.
Of course.
Well, it's been a pleasure to have you to give us a talk on your country. Appreciate it very much. It's very enlightening.
Thank you.
And we'll probably see you again before you go back to your homeland. Thank you very much.
You can leave this here.
Yeah,
We'll go out and they'll be out in just a little bit. We'll leave these right here and then come back in and get them.
Yeah, we'll come back and get all this. You can put that. I'll get your pictures and everything for you. You want to take her around and shake hands with them?
Yeah, he wants me to take you down and have you shake hands with him. Those of you that instead of going in the other hall, let's go out in the dining room. They'll be out just a little bit out. Hey, I want to tell you women, this lady is wearing one of her ladies' dress. And this too. that our film is color film, it'll have the color.
Yeah.
What?
Leave it to him to get texted.
Sure. Good girl. You don't get this off very often. You don't go back to your
Just hold it.
You want to go back?
I see. We still got here.
Yeah, I can't read.
Let's get on.
Well, that's the way it went. Our special guest was a very charming and delightful young lady and represented her country well. The last sound you heard was the master's gavel declaring the recess over. After the balance of the regular business was disposed of, lodge was closed. Everyone retired to the dining room. By this time, several of the young people who were classmates of Miss Fritz had joined her to partake of the delicious refreshments being served. Since there is only 47 seconds left, run this tape to the end and proceed by playing tape number 5, side number 1.